Welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series, where we show you how to turn your expertise into a book that actually drives results. I'm Jonathan Lautermilch, CEO of Smart Publishing.
And I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor of Smart Publishing. This is the podcast for business owners, coaches, and professionals who don't just want to be authors. They want to use a book to build authority, attract clients, and create real opportunities.
Each week, we break down what actually works when it comes to writing, publishing, and leveraging a book the right way. Sometimes it's just us pulling back the curtain on our process. Other times we're joined by authors, industry experts, sharing how they've used a book to grow their business. If you've ever thought about writing a book, or you already have one and want it to do more for you, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I am one of your co-hosts, Renée Lautermilch, and Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and Jonathan's doing some busy stuff today. So it's just me and you, and we actually were going to have a guest on today. We had to reschedule him. He was having some internet issues, so he'll be coming up. But the next several episodes are episodes with guests. They are forthcoming authors with books that are just about to be released. So we're going to have some great conversations with them for you that you'll be able to glean a lot of really great insight out of. Our publishing partners, as we call them. They always have really great things to share about, why they chose to pursue a book and have a book put together, what the process was like, what surprised them, what was maybe, easier than they thought it would be, as a lot tend to come on thinking that this book is just going to be this behemoth of a project, and then get to the end of the project and think, oh, wow, that wasn't nearly what I thought it would be. So we always have really great and exciting conversations with them, and we're going to be having a lot more of those. So we've got a lot of forthcoming folks coming up, so there will be a lot of really great interviews with them. Today is episode 66, and what I thought I would talk about today is based off of some of the conversations that I've had and that Jonathan's had, where people seem to have this idea of what a book is for, and when they should pursue writing a book. And it is from common misconceptions, I would say. So I'm here to sort of turn those around. And the title of the episode is called "A Book is Your Greatest Marketing Asset." So just to set this up, at Smart Publishing here, we primarily do 98% of what we do is nonfiction. A lot of it is in the business genre. Some of it is memoir, but it all has an end road. It all has something that the author is trying to do, whether it's to get speaking opportunities, to get consulting opportunities, generating leads. There is some objective of the book, right? And so I think that that's probably clear to most people who have read, works of nonfiction. I can use an example from, one of the books sitting behind me that most people have heard of, Extreme Ownership. It was, and still is, a really high selling book, but the book sales were never the goal from the authors. Consulting and speaking opportunities were the goals of the authors, and they do a whole lot of that. And in fact, one of the companies that I used to work with hired both Jocko Willink and Leif Babin to do a keynote speech in their organization back during COVID when everything was online. You want to know how much those guys made from a keynote speaking opportunity that was online? $50,000. They showed up for, I believe it was 1 hour, and made $50,000. So clearly, they're making a lot more money from their book versus off their book. And that is the way that any author really needs to look at it. Even people like Stephen King and J.K. Rowling, they're making more money off of their licensing deals in the fiction space than they are off of their book sales. Now they're top 1% authors, so they're still making a lot of money off of their book sales. But making lots of money off of book sales should never be the objective, especially when you're on nonfiction, and especially when you're in nonfiction and you're not somebody who's going to end up, on a New York Times bestseller list. So let's talk about your book as your greatest marketing asset. We get a lot of folks where their conception of a book is that it's something that they have to wait to do. I need to get my business together and my business going and get some clients and get some jobs done first, or I need to do these other things in my business before I get to that, or I need to hit this certain money mark in my business before I get to it. Well, if that's the case, you're probably looking at a book as being something that sort of represents how far you've come, or it's some sort of milestone marker in your business. And in that sense, it's less of a marketing asset, and it's less of something that's going to work for your business. And it's more just like this authority building tool, which that's fine. You can totally write a book as an authority building tool. But if your objective is to get clients, build a business, increase your credibility, there is no faster way to get there than being a published author. So here's what I mean. I'm going to draw a little vignette of two business owners for you. Let's say that we have two business owners in the technology consulting space. We have one business owner who has some business cards and a website. And the other business card and website setup, is something that the other business owner has done as well. They've both done the same thing. We all think when we have a business, well, I got to get business cards and I got to get a website. Those are low barrier. I have to get social media page. Low barrier. Everybody can do that. Everybody does that. It doesn't differentiate you. It doesn't set you apart, and it doesn't demonstrate your expertise. Now, let's say both of these same people, one of them is a best-selling published author with a book that is specifically structured to represent their expertise and how they add value in what they do. Now, if you are approached by both these people, and from one of them you get the best-selling book, and the other you get the business card with that website address, who are you probably going to end up doing business with? The best-selling author, right? And that is because and I've done an episode on this, all of the different psychological reasons why writing a book is still the most credibility building thing that you can do. But, one, everybody has business cards, everybody has a website. Less than 1% of people will publish a book in their lifetime. That immediately sets you apart. A book also signals a large and difficult project that is hard to get done, hence why less than 1% of people will do it in their lifetime. So you already have someone who signals that they have follow through, commitment, they're organized, and then what can you really, what trust can you really build with the person who just has a website and a business card? Not any, but if you go through a person's book, you're going to get to feel their personality. You're going to get to know their background. You're going to see how they approach and solve problems as well through, especially if it's a book that has case studies where it's like you're getting to sort of prove that you can do and be successful with what you do. You're making the case. There's a lot more that somebody's going to be able to get out of that because you're essentially packaging your process and your expertise and putting it on display for people. So many reasons why a book is such an incredible separator. So, it's going to be harder for that person who's just starting out with the business card and the website to get business because they have to somehow figure out how to break that barrier and get past initial scrutiny, which all people should have when they're looking at hiring, somebody to do work for them. Not everybody is who they say they are or is going to do a great job. So how do they know that this person is credible? How do they know this person's going to do a great job? You're going to do a lot of selling there. There's a lot of selling that has to be done in that front. It's an uphill battle. The book can do a lot of the selling for you though. So if you are someone who has a book, well, here you go. This is me. This is my work. This is what I'm all about. This is my process. It's outlined with plenty of case studies. That is going to hand over and do a lot of the selling for you. And then from there, it's just follow up. And we have seen this play out with our publishing partners who are out there using their book and leveraging their book as what it is, which is their greatest marketing asset. We have one author who, his book is behind me here, who somebody just happened to come across a LinkedIn post or a LinkedIn article that he had made. It led to his book. They purchased copies of his book off of Amazon for everybody in their office. Everybody read the book. From there, they decided they wanted to bring this guy in person to meet with them. They flew him out, put him up in a hospital, met with him for a few days. And now they have a deal together that is worth $500,000 to him. And that was all, they had just read the LinkedIn article. Maybe they would have contacted him. Maybe they wouldn't have. I don't know. But clearly they wanted more. They didn't contact him out of the blue. They got his book first. His book did the selling for him, brought him in, and then he did the rest. He just had to close the deal that the book had already teed up for him, in a sense. We have, another author who was the first in his space, data security in the age of AI, right behind me here, where, there were a bunch of people running to have a book like that out first. He was the first one who got it out. And because he's the first one who got it out, he is now the authority in that space. He has universities flying him in for guest lectures all the time, by the way, all kinds of different universities. He is being asked to speak at multiple conferences, and they have 50,000 conferences in the cybersecurity space. I will just say that. My brother is in cybersecurity, and he's at a conference like every week. It's crazy. And, he has companies that are, leveraging and bringing in his expertise to consult. And so that's just a couple examples. So that is what I mean when I'm talking about, there's this big misconception around why and when you should write a book and what the value of having a book really is. It's not money off of royalties. That's great. That you'll pay some bills here and there with that. That's nice. But it's in using the book as a marketing asset. And it is a marketing asset that the majority of business owners, I can guarantee you this, in whatever industry you're in, nobody else is going to have it. You will be one of the only ones with this marketing asset if you choose to do it. And you will, and when you choose to leverage it and you leverage it well, and if you structured it and set it up the right way, it will do a massive amount of work for you. And it will do what is the most helpful thing. It will make you the clear choice amongst all of your competition. You will stand out, and you will easily stand out ahead above the rest. So that was a pretty simple and short episode. We have some longer episodes coming up with our guest episodes, so thought I would keep it short and sweet for you guys this week. It's World Cup time, so I hope you're out there watching some awesome World Cup games. Jonathan and I actually are pre-K soccer coaches. We coach our daughter's soccer team, so it is just nothing but football in our house these days, as we like to use the traditional name for it, not soccer. Although, if you didn't know, the term soccer actually originated in England. It did not originate in the United States. We simply adopted it as a way to differentiate it from American football. So there's a fun fact for you, just in case you didn't know. But, until next time, as I always say, keep writing your story, because the world needs your voice. And subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. Take care. Until next time.